I'd like to welcome Bob to our BDA. Don't know everybody will.
If you want to weigh in, just get a moment before we go.
Okay, public participation? None? I have a motion to accept the minutes of the special BDA meeting on March 22nd and the regular BDA meeting on March 28th.
So moved.
Motion made second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Item A, correspondence.
Motion to file.
Second.
Motion made second, discussion.
I just want to do a real quick on Wallet Hub. So we included it with your packet. We're going to be following up on sort of a large-scale marketing effort. But there's a website that was referenced by Harvard Business Journal. It's actually been referenced in several different publications that for Greater Hartford, the Greater Hartford area, Bristol is the top small city for doing business, for opening up a business. We have some of the best numbers and scores for things like growth in the number of small businesses in Bristol, access to financing, for startups and small businesses, office space affordability. Kristen spends a lot of her day linking up potential end users with office space, and annual household incomes, that kind of thing. So Bristol's number one. So we're going to do a full-scale marketing campaign on this. It's brand new. We haven't gotten our arms around it yet, but you'll hear more about this in the future.
All in favor? Motion, we have motion to file, right?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Letter from HUD.
Motion to file.
Second.
Motion made second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Transfer forms.
Need a motion for this, don't
Motion to place on file?
Second.
Motion made second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
we?
Opposed, motion passes. Marketing materials.
Motion to file.
Second.
Motion made second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. New business by staff. Update of Route 6 cornerstone.
I invited Mr. Weiner here from Land Use to give the board an update. This is a study that's not our downtown study, but it's something important to economic development and obviously to planning. So, Mr. Weiner, if you could just give the BD an update, thank you.
I will, Mr. Mallon.
Thank you, of course.
Good evening. For the record, Alan Weiner, I'm the city planner. I recognize some folks here. As Justin has indicated, the city's planning commission is going to be taking the lead on what we think is going to be a very interesting and important study of the Route 6 corridor. This is an outgrowth of the city's plan of conservation development, which was adopted by the planning commission in 2015. And there's been an ongoing recommendation over the years about what should happen on Route 6. And in the most recent plan of conservation development, the Planning Commission acknowledged the need for a more in-depth study of the Route 6 corridor. And subsequent to the adoption of the overall city plan, the Planning Commission requested and received from the Board of Finance $50,000 to go out to obtain consultant services to work with the city, primarily the Planning Commission, but certainly other boards and commissions and staff people, to look at the Route 6 corridor primarily from a land use and economic development standpoint. This is not intended to be a traffic study, although there will be some components to the study that involve transportation and traffic, but it's really intended to look at the future of Route 6, the existing land use, and more importantly, what the future land use should be. I think the two primary issues, certainly not the only issues, but the two primary issues associated with Route 6, especially Farmington Avenue, is that there are, as you know, there are pockets of existing residential development. There's been increased pressure over the years for commercial development to just keep marching down Route 6 along Farmington Avenue, and it's always been a source of controversy, in part because of the residential neighborhoods that are adjacent to those areas. And I think that the sense of the Planning Commission was that this is a good opportunity by undertaking a study without the pressure of any specific application to look at these areas and with public participation and hearing from boards and commissions and staff and the public, trying to get a good handle on what should happen to these areas. Should they remain residential? Should they become commercial? If they become commercial, should there be limitations as to the type of commercial development? So that's going to be a big issue. I think the other issue that's somewhat associated with that is that there are again, along especially Farmington Avenue, there are pockets, large pockets of commercial development that isn't the shopping center. It's the small strip commercial development that might have happened in the 60s or 70s. And there's not a whole lot of landscaping, a lot of pavement, and not a whole lot of room to expand. And so the question becomes, are there ways to allow businesses in those areas to expand without adversely impacting the adjoining residential neighborhoods? That's also been an issue. Typically, the best way to expand has been by buying up houses behind you if you're on Route 6, moving into the residential neighborhoods. They've received resistance, understandably, from the land use boards and certainly the neighborhoods. So again, there's an opportunity to take a look at that issue as part of the study. The study will go from the Plymouth line to the Farmington line. The emphasis will be on Farmington Avenue and North Street, perhaps much less so onto Terryville Avenue, which certainly hasn't experienced the pressure for new development that the other section, Route 6, has experienced. The firm that we will be using is Fitzgerald and Halliday. They're based in Hartford. This kind of study is kind of their bread and butter. Those of you who've been around for a while may recall that in the mid-2000s we did a Route 72 corridor study before Route 72 was extended into Bristol. That study was done by Fitzgerald and Halliday. It was a pretty successful study. A number of recommendations that they made were actually implemented by the Planning Commission, the Zoning Commission, and we were hopeful that the Route 6 corridor study produces similar kinds of results. So that's kind of a real, somewhat quick overview. Be glad to answer any questions you might have about the study. Obviously, we're as I said, we're hoping to engage boards and commissions, staff members, members of the public participation by the development community, by neighbors and property owners along the Route 6 corridor is going to be critical to the success of this study. We hope to sign the contract with the consultant within the next few days and have them start work in early May. We anticipate this study taking 9 to 12 months.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Ann.
Update chamber activities.
I also wanted to, we didn't have Cindy here last month. I think that would have been your first month, but Cindy's now the president of the chamber, so I wanted to have her here to introduce her, obviously, to the board, but maybe talk about a few new chamber initiatives, so it's all yours.
I feel like I'm a little pro now, 1 month.
Except you can't speak as long as Jim.
I promise you I will not. I'm Cindy Scoville. I'm with the Central Connecticut Chambers of Commerce, and I have our new membership directory here. I will leave them here for you, so anyone that has not received one, please take one. As you all know, we're working very closely with the City of Bristol in the marketing and branding area, and hopefully in July we will bring on a part-time person into a full-time helping us out in the Central Connecticut office on the branding and marketing area. Creating a newsletter that will go out specifically for that purposes is regarding what's happening in Bristol, attracting people to come into Bristol, those that are already living here to fill them in on what is happening in our fine city here. I'm also working with Justin and Kristen to develop economic development business breakfast. It's a partnership between the City of Bristol and the Chamber of Commerce, and we actually will probably be putting our first one on very shortly in June. CPACE has announced some funding, about $800,000 that will be coming forth to help manufacturers in the energy area, and Bristol is coming up second in place for one of the larger manufacturing populations. As you all know, the chamber here in Bristol at 200 Main has 7 chambers of commerces, and we also manage 2 manufacturing associations besides the manufacturing sector that is already placed here in Bristol, so we have a good presence there. So that is it. You know where I am. Ken and I have met several times. I'm on Justin and Kristen's radar screen. So at any given time, just please give me a call. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Item C, transfers. What's the motion?
So I could explain this. In your packet, there are several transfer requests. I'm here to admit I goofed up. Last month, we had, I think, 2 or 3 transfers that should have been on your agenda. They weren't. So, and I admit that was my mistake. So we're coming to you this month for those, hopefully, approvals of those transfers. So
I'm
that's...
going to make a motion.
Is that what- do them separately, or do you want the motion for all of them? Okay. Transfer $300 from the city share program supplies account to the city share travel reimbursement account, and $200 from the city share postage account to the city share travel reimbursement account. That's the first motion. The second, to transfer $1,000 from the hazard mitigation grant program relocation account to the hazard mitigation grant program demolition account. To transfer $585,971.06 of the 2015 CDBG account balance to the 2016 CDBG accounts. And to transfer, what's the dollar amount?
$6,174.
$6,174 from the CDBG residential rehab to the CDBG demolition, and refer to the Board of Finance for necessary action.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Item D, 2016-17 CDBG annual audit plan, action plan.
In your packets, thank you. In your packets, you have the annual plan, the proposed use of funds that has been vetting for the last month or so. We've had 2 public hearings, we've had a 30-day comment period, and this is one of the last steps for the annual plan. It gets approved here, hopefully tonight, and then May 10th, it'll be approved by City Council, and then it goes to HUD. Do you have any questions on any of the projects or amounts?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2016-2017 CDBG annual action plan and to forward to the Bristol City Council for approval and authorization for the mayor or acting mayor to sign any necessary documents for filing with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and to refer to the Board of Finance for action regarding the appropriation of funds. Recusals from the vote will be Commissioner Rivers and Council Member Pileski.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion.
No, just one item, again, it comes up.
I noticed again on the Carousel Museum, there's an extension until June 30th, which we're aware of. However, progress continues to slow. They are aware that they probably will not get another extension.
Well, they are very much aware, as the chairman of that committee, they will not get an extension.
And again, the issue there is that, we're in good faith, they're in good faith, but this is precious money that quite frankly, if they can't get off the dime, there are other organizations and things that could use those funds. So I think it's just important, it sounds like.
It's just what we did with the elevator, we will do with this.
I can explain more. To answer that question, I can explain more when I have a chance to give my updates, because as you can see, they're not being awarded anything for this next year plan.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. New business by commissioners, 30 minutes left.
None.
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 Chair has none. Old business by staff.
Okay, let me start out by answering that question about the Carousel Museum. One of the issues with our grants is that sometimes the total amount of the project is more than our grant. And once you start to use CDBG money, you're bound to follow all the rules for the whole project. And so that really extended their price tag beyond what they could afford. And so they have tried, and they've done a great job because they've completed their roof, and they're probably going to move forward with their HVAC, but probably not with CDBG money. The other projects we're going to actually finish between now and June 30th, probably your Summer Street sidewalks, West End sidewalks, the demolition, along with the transfer that you just approved tonight. And the Bark Lake Avenue roof may need a short extension because in that same situation, the grant is around $56,000. Our grant is, I'm sorry, the project cost is $56,200, and our grant was only $26,357. So they have to make up the difference, and that's going to maybe take a while for them to put that together. So I may be bringing that to you next month. And the only other thing is the Neighborhood Assistance Act. In your packet, I have a change of date for the public hearing to May 12th. So you'll be receiving the applications from me in really a couple of days. As soon as the applications come in on Friday, I'll copy them, give them to you. And what we do with that is we vet the organizations to ensure that they're assisting Bristol population and that they're bona fide organizations so that we can approve them, send them to City Council for approval, and send to the Department of Revenue Service. And it's a very long process, and we're the liaison, and that's why all these steps have to be followed.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
I think it's important to note that no funds from the CDBG program or anything from BDA is used. We're only the conduit to get those applications to the state so they can then go out to get people to solicit for tax purposes their project.
That's correct. It's not a competition
Right.
like the CDBG grant is.
Okay, thank you. Economic, all set? You're done, right? Economic development update, Justin.
Yep, just real quick, I obviously included my update in the agenda, the packet, but I wanted to touch on a press release actually we wrote towards the end of last week, touch on the business park a little bit. So we have essentially 3 projects going on at the business park. The first is, I don't know if you've driven by lately, you'll understand the first project pretty quickly. Uniprop is building a 127,000 square foot building on lot number 1 and a portion of lot number 2. I talked with their contractor today, ACG. All trees have been cleared and they're just taking care of a couple of stumps at this point. But that's one project, and they have a tentative groundbreaking ceremony. Mayor, I worked with Lara on this today for May 4th. But when I get the specific time, I'll email it out to you folks. So hopefully you can make it. The more people we can get there, the better. Another project is we officially closed, by the way, on that property 2 or 3 weeks ago. They're cleared at this point, so that's how quickly they're moving. We also closed on lot number 5 for AMCO, and they're looking to get going really soon as well. And then GMN USA is having its official ribbon cutting in, I want to say it's second week of May, but everyone here is going to get an invitation directly from GMN. But they're flying in ownership from Germany, and it's actually a 2-day event. So that press release promoted that as well a little bit. So those are the 3 projects that we're working on, and I'm sure there'll be more to come in the future. And I just want to say also, Dawn, we always like to have the BDA staff here. Dawn is working right now on tightening up and completing our grant application for 894 Middle Street for the fuel cell project. If you remember, we were going to be applying to the state for up to $2 million for cleanup funds, and that's due tomorrow. So Dawn's working feverishly to get that done.
Thank you. Any questions for Justin? None. Old business by commissioner, starting by far left.
None.
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 Here has none. Committee reports, downtown committee.
So I was hoping maybe the mayor or John could take this one, but the downtown committee met last Thursday, where we really had 2 items on the agenda to talk with and to hear an update from Bristol Hospital on its progress on the site downtown, and also to introduce and hear from our consultants for our engineering work and our planning work, Malone and McBroom. John or Mayor, do you have anything to sort of add about?
The hospital's right on track. They're moving full steam ahead. they've said no matter what happens with the state money, they're all in. That was from the chairman of the board, I believe, said that, John Leone. They currently hired an architect. They're hoping to have RFP out by August.
Yeah. It was,
August.
yeah.
And then, once they have that, they'll have a developer, and I think we're looking at realistically, as long as everything goes smooth, groundbreaking sometime in the beginning of next year, I think. That's a realistic timeframe.
They have 28 I think it was 28, it was in the 20s, developers that have expressed
I
interest
have
in
a
it.
29th for you.
Okay, there you go.
We're meeting one next week.
Expressed interest in the project, and just an example, we're working with a restaurant. We've been working with them for a while, and downtown only has so many spaces that are appropriate for that type of activity. So now we have one extra possible space for these types of folks to go to, and we're going to link them up with Bristol Hospital. So,
And the other thing that's happening is Malone and McBroom have been hired. They are going to be working on the plans for the rest of the parcel, where infrastructure should go, where roads should possibly go, if we're going to break up any lots. And they're also working in tandem with the hospital, so it's all going to fit in and flow. The other question was the, no, we did that.
yeah, we're meeting with Malone and McBroom Wednesday with a potential end user for the site. It's obviously a much smaller developer for the site, so Malone and McBroom has hit the ground running. They signed the contract, I think, on Friday, so we're going to get going with them this week.
I have a question or comment through the chair. Mayor,
No.
you made a comment I think we all have to listen to. You're looking at the whole parcel, not just the hospital portion, but what we can do with the whole parcel with the development. I think that's a key thing that people have to understand.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
One of the things that we touched on for a while on Thursday was the public participation component of this. And Malone and McBroom, that's their specialty. That's really, I think that's one of the things that made them stand out at the interview process. So there was plenty of public participation on Thursday, and there's going to be much more as Malone and McBroom sort of coordinates his activities to elicit that participation. And then even the name. So the mayor discussed at the meeting the idea, the potential of changing the name from Depot Square to something else. And we've started accepting name change ideas from the public via our department email. And then we were just talking, Kristen was talking with Mark today at the chamber to get that question in a poll, what do we call it, a poll, Survey Monkey thing, up on the All Heart website, Sydney's website over there too. So we'll get that out to the community and accept thoughts on that as well.
A little levity. I'd like to be around to see that, Mayor. Since I saw the whole downtown, I saw it knocked down, I saw the walls go up, I saw the wall come down. So I'm going to get to see the parcel completed before I die.
And that was almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Any other thing on the downtown committee? We're moving right along, so that's exciting. Marketing committee.
So obviously, things are moving along, the portal and, again, the naming of Depot Square to something other than that. Some key things as we move into the summer, you'll see a lot of programming occurring around the events that are happening around. And then one other area you'll start to see is, how we have I call it the bandstand. You'll see that branded to the All Heart. So there's a lot of things going on. Mark's probably, I call him busier than a one-armed paper hanger, and we're working with them as a committee to help them set some priorities. So,
And if I could, he also has sent out a notice that having a session with members, how to use the portal. In fact, we got invited and someone's going from the church to see how to use the portal. So that's a key thing we wanted to get out to people, how to use this tool.
Is the hit rate going up, Mr. Chair? Is the hit rate going up?
the hit rate is continually going up.
Okay.
As more and more people find out about it, the goal is to make that the go-to place, and Mark has all types of reports on it. Maybe at a future time we'll bring some in, but he's doing an outstanding. If we could just channel that passion into everything else, it's moving along.
Well, and I think the marketing is paying off. If you look where we are now from 3 years ago, people know Bristol. When I was in Washington, they knew Bristol. Look at the article that was in the Hartford Business, I think Hartford Business.
The Wallet Hub piece, yeah.
That just shows that we're now on the map. People are looking at Bristol, they're recognizing that we're moving in Bristol. And just the action in the industrial park over the last few years shows that Bristol's here now and people recognize this.
It's key. Mark's going to take, I want to work with Mark in the Wallet Hub story and the Business Journal story. There's so much about Bristol we take for granted. I was born and raised here, I live here now. Incredibly affordable, still good annual household incomes, and these are the things that the world needs to know. And Mark's going to take that and others and just get it out to the universe.
Excellent.
One other thing, we keep talking about, this is an effort of Bristol, again, that is private. We've got businesses involved through the chamber. We've got volunteers, and we've got the city involved. So it's this joint effort that shows we've got a great story to tell, and it's us telling the story. One thing I forgot about is there'll be window decals that'll be appearing in all businesses, or anybody who wants to have that. We're looking into banners and anything to promote, all the positives. That's the whole point here is, if you're going to tell a story, you want to tell about all the positives that people should know about our hometown.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Mayor,
Nope.
Go ahead, Chair. Forgive me, on the old business, may I ask one question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Justin, can you give us an update on Crust? I understand that there's been a change in...
Well, Crust was one of our winners through the Start of Bristol program, and Crust is obviously interested in coming into Bristol. A spot, the particular location that Crust was looking at, may not work for them. We've known Crust for, I met Crust a while ago, and we were pitching different sites, frankly, all downtown to Crust. And none of the sites worked, and then the downtown cafe spot opened up, and we brought Crust in really early to take a look at that spot. It's just going to prove a little bit too small. We've been talking with them, but the key is that Crust is still committed to Bristol. We gave a grant to the company, not a particular location. So we're going to be working with Crust on finding a new spot, and preferably in the downtown area.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn. Motion made, second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.